Today's Just Baseball show number one is being recorded on Tuesday, but it's your Thursday episode. Number two, we are doing one thing to watch for each American League team in the second half of the season after the All-Star break. Jack and Peter, who we brought to you by, boss?
BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. Remember, folks, download BetMGM, whether that be on iOS or Android, and use promo code JUSTBASEBALL. Why? First bet offer up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first wager loses. But remember, gambling problem, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Must be 21 years or older. Terms and conditions apply. I thought it was a great idea to use those bonus bets potentially on a home run derby pick. Congratulations to the big dumper. It is truly the year of Cal Raleigh. What a run and what a weekend by the Mariners so far. We're recording before the All-Star game. Cade Anderson underslot at number 3, and then Cal Raleigh wins the derby. Stand up, Seattle.
And Brian Wu makes an appearance on the Just Baseball show for about 45 seconds. That was huge.
It's all Seattle right now. It is all the Marine Layer Pod. Remember to go check out our boys on the Marine Layer Pod. They're doing such a great job.
It's also all fish right now, but we're not going to be talking about the Miami Marlins. We are going to be talking about the Seattle Mariners a little bit, but here's what we're going to do. We're going to go team by team in the American League. Peter and Arm are going to do the National League tomorrow, so the Friday episode, and it's just going to be one thing to watch for each team in Major League Baseball in the second half. Is that the deadline? Is that post-deadline? Is that a legend that's already on the team? Is it a rookie? We'll see. Peter, I love that you're bouncing around right now. Did you have coffee this morning?
I feel good. I'm excited to be back on the show. I love talking baseball with you. I'm just feeling good.
Whatever, man. Let's start with the American League East. And the division leader as it stands right now, your Toronto Blue
Toronto
Jays.
Blue Jays. My one thing to watch for the Blue Jays is, can George Springer and Addison Barger finish the season with an OPS above 800? Because you look at them both right now, they have both been excellent. George Springer's got an 853 OPS going into the break, and Addison Barger at an 823. And the reason I bring up both of those bats is they have been instrumental in propelling the Blue Jays to the top of the American League East. And personally, this is why it's one thing that I'm watching. I think Bo Bichette's going to hit. I think he's going to continue to do so.
You believe in the bat. Yeah.
Obviously, I think Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is going to continue to hit. I'm pretty sold on Alejandro Kirk at this point. I think he just will. But it is currently up in the air if Barger and Springer can replicate that success. Because if they can, the Blue Jays are going to continue to win games and have a great chance of winning this division. And again, a reason I'm bringing it up is, on top of everything I just said, I believe in both of them. I mean, you look at some quality of contact metrics with how hard both of them have been hitting the ball and the at-bats that they are putting up consistently. You could make a sound argument that they are getting unlucky, right? If you look at that WOBA minus X WOBA equation, which of course is very simple analysis, but then you turn on the TV and you watch Blue Jays games, and these guys are putting up some of the best ABs in the league. They're taking pitches. They're not chasing outside the zone so aggressively. And when they put bat on the ball, it's going hard. So I'm really watching, can both of those guys replicate their success in the second half? And I think that can then continue to propel the Blue Jays up the standings and eventually with an AL East crown.
Do you, in your heart of hearts, believe that the Toronto Blue Jays can win a World Series this year?
Not a World Series, and it really just hangs on the fact that there are so many good teams in the National League.
Yeah.
Like, Blue Jays fans, don't take offense to that because I'm not sold any team in the American League is winning the World Series. But on top of that, I need a bona fide ace or two in a rotation. And if I'm trying to pick a World Series winner, like
Yeah.
Kevin
And
Gausman
they
versus
don't have
Hunter
that.
Brown, game one, who you picking?
Yeah. Right.
Kevin Gausman versus Tarek Skubal, game one, who you
Right.
picking? Tarek Skubal Kevin Gausman versus Max Fried, Garrett Crochet, right? There are just so many diabolical aces that you have that you're always going to be at a disadvantage there. That doesn't mean that the Blue Jays can't shock the world and do it. It's just if I'm going into it and projecting, it's hard to project those guys winning starts over the aces, even in the American League. And then if they were to somehow get there in the National League, it's just tough.
Yeah. So my thing on Toronto is, are the bridge innings going to continue to be this stress-free? And what I mean by that is Jeff Hoffman, whether you like it or not, with his 5 ERA, has the ninth inning, and he has 22 saves on the year to this point.
And he also, just real quick, Jeff Hoffman started off incredible, took a
Yeah,
huge dive, and then has been better lately. So
has
the 5
normalized.
ERA, I don't think is a good representation of
No,
how
he's
good he is.
been it's
Yeah,
been
he's been
ebbs and flows, and right
100%.
now he's in a flow. He had an ebb. I actually think a flow is down and an ebb is up. I'm not sure on the exact definition, but I do know that it has been an up and down season, and he's riding his second up right now. It was up, then crashing down, then slowly but surely building back up. But the reason I say that is they have a bullpen trio that can get them through the seventh and eighth inning pretty much every night. And I just wonder if they're going to continue to be this good. We know about reliever volatility. Yariel Rodriguez, they paid like a starting pitcher. He's got a 2.5 in 47 innings. I can totally appreciate that. But the two guys that jump out to me, Brendan Little is one of the best bullpen arms in Major League Baseball right now.
Yeah.
Is that sustainable? Brendan Little has north of 60 punchouts in 44 and a third innings, and he has a 2.03 ERA. Braden Fisher in 28 and third has an ERA in the very low twos. I'm looking at Yariel, Little, and Fisher saying, can you continue to get me to Jeff Hoffman?
I love that because I think it's on the same wavelength of what I was talking about with the offense because those things got the Blue Jays here. We
Yeah.
all knew Gosman, Brios, Bassett, they were going to be solid and then they were going to figure out their fourth and fifth spot.
Yeah.
We knew guys at the top of the lineup were going to hit, but it's the guys in the middle to the bottom of the lineup and it's those bullpen arms getting you to Jeff Hoffman that have really propelled the Blue Jays up. So I couldn't agree with that one more. That is certainly what I'm watching with Toronto.
Cool. What you got for New York?
So I think it's kind of simple here with the Yankees. And is Aaron Judge going to have the greatest season of all time? And that sounds hyperbolic because not only is it coming from me, a hyperbolic guy, but the greatest season of all time. Well, I look at the greatest seasons of all time, and it's a lot of Babe Ruth, it's a lot of Barry Bonds, and Aaron Judge is on pace to have one of those type of seasons where he's in the 13 F war range, where he's approaching 60 home runs, where he's hitting 350 with an OBP over 450, right? He's walking, he still strikes out 25% of the time, but right now he is fifth in walk rate. He's slugging over 700 with a 219 WRC plus. He is on pace for potentially the greatest season of all time, and that's what I'm watching with the Yankees.
Cool. I can appreciate that. That is, for me, the clear cut number one thing that I'm watching right now. What is Aaron Judge's greatness going to look like? The other thing that I'm watching is over the next 2 weeks. How all in does all in look for the New York Yankees?
Yep.
Who is their third base target? Who is their starting pitcher target? If their starting pitcher target is a four to fill out the back of the rotation, then I know that their all in does not look as all in as some others. But if they go get a Eugenio Suarez and they go get a frontline arm, like they make the move for Gallon, I feel good about the Yankees' all in approach to this deadline.
I don't envy the position that general manager Brian Cashman is in. And the reason I say that is he has to be looking at this team and thinking, do I really leverage the farm to go all in on this current roster? Right? Luis Gil is going to come back. That is huge for the Yankees. But the American League is wide open, and of course, anything can happen. But are you willing to part with a Lombard Jr.? Are you willing to really, really go for it? Because I think if they really did and put Lombard on the table and went after some major, major pieces, they absolutely can. But if Cashman then doesn't want to do that, will the moves that he makes in the short term, maybe for rentals, be enough to propel the Yankees to where the Yankees should be as World Series contenders? So over the next 2 weeks, if the Yankees just get incredibly, incredibly hot, he could push all the chips in and completely go for it. But I think he's got to do some soul searching with this team to really figure out, is it worth it to push all the chips in?
Yeah, I hear you, man. Boston. Can I start us off with Boston? Do you mind?
Get after it.
What on earth does this deadline look like?
I know.
That's all I got.
Because, there are reports The Padres are just obsessed with Jaron Duran. I feel like we get that report every other day now. It's
Dude,
just
I mean, it's in every single one of Nightingale's notebooks. It's in every single one of Heyman's live streams. Who does he do those live streams with?
Bleacher Report, I guess.
But
But
yeah, I guess. But
I
like, I mean, dude, all of these live streams
I
or
know.
articles, it's like, hey, the Padres are still heavily pursuing Jaron Duran. Okay, are they going to move him like they're the hottest team in baseball right now?
And then there, Passan goes on, I think it was Pat McAfee or ESPN or one of those shows, and he says the Red Sox are World Series contenders, that they're going to buy at the deadline. And I could see it, right? They've won 10 in a row. They're clicking on all cylinders. Cedon Rafaela has emerged as one of the better center fielders in all of baseball,
Which is
right?
crazy because a month ago we would not be saying that at all. He was the
Crazy.
butt of a joke a month ago.
And Roman Anthony starting to find it. And when he's starting to find it, he can get real dangerous real quickly.
Yeah.
And so if they buy and they add pieces both on the offensive side and to the starting pitching and potentially the bullpen, again, the American League is wide open. But then I also see a report recently, they're listening on Bregman. Like, what is happening? So they're one of the most fascinating teams to watch at the deadline because even if they are playing well, could they sell off some of these pieces, right? I mean, the Red Sox literally traded Rafael Devers this year when it felt like this was the window where the Red Sox have finished in last in 4 of the last 5 seasons,
Yeah.
but they get Crochet, they get Bregman. All right, this is the year that we win the division. And then they trade Rafael Devers. So how are they going to manage this deadline? I am looking square at you, Breslow. What are you going to do?
What I will say though, and I want you to search a little bit, based on everything we know now, does it really feel like that was a net negative trading Rafi?
It's way too early to tell.
I,
It's
I
just,
know, I
yeah.
know, but for the sake of the clubhouse and the team camaraderie and the overall situation in Boston right now, it feels like it's not this crazy thing.
Well, here's the thing. They trade Devers, and then they go on a slide. And then after that slide, they win 10 in a row. So it's hard to know. It's
It
just
is hard
really
to
hard
know.
to know. And we haven't even seen really any of the players that the Red Sox acquired for Devers make an impact, right? Jordan Hicks has kind of slotted into a bullpen role, but we haven't really seen Kyle Harrison. And, then there's other prospects here. So it's so hard to tell. And I don't even think if you ask Posey or Breslow, the two GMs on both sides of the trade, what they would say. I think they would both just say it's way too early to make an actual take on that. And which leads me into my one thing that I'm watching for the Red Sox and what could propel them to be buyers. And I think what Passan means by potential World Series contenders are Giolito and Brian Bayo going to continue to be anchors in this rotation because both of them over the last month have been not only good, diabolical. I mean, go through the game logs, folks, for everybody listening. Or I'm sure if you're a Red Sox fan or just a diehard baseball fan, you've been watching them. But it's 6 innings, 1 run, 5 innings, 1 run, 7 innings, 2 runs. They are pitching like number twos in rotations.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's what the Red Sox envisioned when they gave Brian Bayo the extension. That's what Breslow envisioned when he brought in Giolito, knowing that he was going to get Tommy John surgery, but wanted to capitalize because he saw an arm that he really liked. And both of them are pitching at the top of their game. Red Sox fans, I have a question for you in the YouTube comments below. Is this the best that you have ever seen from Brian Bayo? Because to me, it does. So if those two are legit behind Crochet, and then you add another starter at the deadline, that rotation goes from suspect to extremely exciting. Add a bullpen arm there too. Maybe one more bat, and we're cooking. So
Yeah.
the going back to the ebbs and flows, we aren't sure which one is an ebb, which one is a flow, which one is positive, but I think both are going to happen, and they're wildly fascinating.
I'm going to Google that during your next spiel here. I'm going to Google which one is an ebb and which one is a flow. But next team we got is the Tampa Bay Rays. Where do you go on Tampa?
So Tampa, I have my eyes squared on Shane McClanahan. Can he return to form in the second half as he returns from this tricep injury? Because a full go McClanahan is the best piece that anybody can add at this deadline. Point blank, period. Which is huge for a Rays team that is competing in this division, right? And we don't expect the Rays to be major buyers, but if they're adding someone with the talent level of Shane McClanahan, watch out. But another reason I'm watching is I think it's ambitious to think that he returns truly to form. But what does that look like? Does he really struggle? Is he pretty good? Is he 90% of Shane McClanahan? Is he fully back? That's where my eyes are on Tampa.
Got you. By the way, ebbs and flows, a cyclical pattern of decline or increase, coming and going, or fluctuations in a process or activity. Literal meaning, ebb refers to the receding of the tide, while flow refers to the incoming tide. It's in regards to tide in a sea. So flow would be high tide, and then ebb would be a receding tide, low tide. But I can't tell which one is the negative one, because if you have too much water coming in, isn't that like overwhelming?
I agree. In ebb, you kind of want low tides so you can walk your dog on the beach or something like that. But at the same time, ebb seems like a downturn. So it seemed like it would be negative, but I think beachgoers would prefer low tide.
I probably right.
Like,
So I
is
think ebb
Google
is the
also
positive one.
confused?
Google is just telling me about the tide, and they're not telling me ebb means up, flow means down.
Did
And
we
that's what
accident
I wanted.
did we accidentally just do our last word in the middle of the segment?
I think so. Yes.
Okay,
So
perfect.
this
Let
is
us
our
know in the
middle
YouTube
word.
comments below. Do you have any idea what ebbs and flows mean?
I think ebb is good, flow is bad, but please
I
confirm
still
on
think it's
that
the
or not.
opposite.
I I don't I think you're with me right now. I think you're a little confused. I think you're with me that ebb is the good thing, even though it's receding tide, and then flow is
No,
the bad thing.
no, I think ebb is the bad thing. I think you don't want to go down, but you do at the beach.
You literally just described the opposite thing. I think you have no idea what you're talking about right now.
What's your takeaway on the race? One thing
Uh,
to watch.
how serious contenders are they as is?
Mm,
That's always going to be my question about the Tampa Bay Rays, because I have no idea what their deadline approach is going to be. They are almost never active at the trade deadline.
yeah.
So I want to know if Eric Neander and Kevin Cash believe what they have right now is capable of winning an American League pennant.
Yeah.
And I think with McClanahan back, the answer should be yes.
Yeah. But again, that's why I ask. McClanahan back, what does that mean?
I know, but even if he's not back, you're still looking at a rotation that could be one of the nastiest in baseball over the course of a 4-game set. Rasmussen is going to go 6 innings. Like, that's just how that's going to work.
It might not work like that, but it might not take anything away from the Rays if they continue to limit his innings and then they just piggyback him with Joe Boyle. That's a 7 inning nightmare for other teams. You go
Right.
Rasmussen for 3, Boyle for 4. Good luck.
Right. So you go Rasmussen, then you go Pepio, then you got Shane Baz and Taj Bradley. If they do move Taj Bradley, I'll be fascinated to see how they backfill that.
Mm-hmm.
I hope they don't move Taj Bradley. I hope they just kind of stay stagnant right now, because what they have right now, I think, is good enough to, once they get into a postseason setting, make their way through the American League.
Because Littell has also been a great 5 starter for them.
Yeah.
He's not one of these sexy young names that
He
we always
shouldn't
talk
start a
about.
postseason game, but he's been really good in the role that he is in.
But at the end of the day, right now, who are you picking to start a postseason game, Bradley or Littell? I'm picking Littell. Been
I'll
way
pick
more
Bradley just
consistent.
because the stuff I feel like is postseason
Yeah,
caliber.
I know, but he just gives up too many homers.
Also, hurricane season at Steinbrenner Field for the postseason, that's a little crazy. But
Yeah, what do you think about that? So the report is that the Tampa Bay Rays, MLB allowed, right? If they make the postseason, they'll be able to play all of their home postseason games at Steinbrenner Field. And if they were to make it to the World Series, those World Series games would be at Steinbrenner Field. A reminder, a minor league park.
it's interesting to me. I don't believe that it skews positively or negatively. It became a good environment when I was there for Marlins Rays. Like, when that place is filled, it can get loud. But the problem is, when it's filled, it's 12,000 people.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I would like to see 40 at a World Series game. I would like to see 45 at a World Series game.
Yeah.
So,
I understand it, and I think that is a positive for the Rays team. But I think for our general viewing pleasure,
not great.
not so much. But again,
Not great.
I'd rather it be pro player than pro viewing pleasure. Like
Yeah.
at the end of the day, we don't really matter. Like
Right.
The Rays need to do what's best for their team.
Right. Last, but all of a sudden, maybe not least, the
Yep.
Baltimore Orioles in the American League East. I'll start us off with Baltimore. How hard can you push over the next 2 weeks?
Yep.
For me, it's out of the break. You have a weekend set with Tampa. What does that weekend set with Tampa look like, and how hard can you push to negate the idea of moving a whole bunch of bodies.
Yep.
I understand if you want to move Mullins. I understand if you want to move O'Hearn and capitalize. Those guys are in the last year of team control.
Yep.
They're both making about $8 million. So I get it with those two. But there is a way that they are as good if they do move pieces. I thought Tony Mansolino, the interim manager for the Baltimore Orioles, made a really good point when I was down there for his media availability on Friday. Like, everybody wants to compare a team that's under 500 at the All-Star break to the Tigers of last year. And Mansolino offered a wrinkle that I thought was really interesting. He said they moved some pieces and might have optimized. Like, Flaherty was gone. Flaherty was a very good pitcher for them last year. He went to the Dodgers, and then all of a sudden Detroit went on a run. Why? Because A.J. Hinch leaned into his strengths.
Mm-hmm.
So then I look at a guy like O'Hearn. O'Hearn, an all-star. You trade him. Okay, that sucks. You just traded your only all-star. But they could get better. Why? Mountcastle's working his way back, and Kobe Mayo is sitting on the bench right now doing absolutely nothing. So if
Yeah.
you give Mayo a whole bunch of runway here, there's a chance that Mayo produces in the way that O'Hearn produced in the front half. Is it unlikely? Yes, it's very unlikely, but there is a chance that that happens. And obviously, what Detroit did last year was unlikely. I feel like the Dumb and Dumber quote, like, so you're saying there's a chance. Right now, yeah, but it's got to happen over the next 2 weeks.
Because the Orioles still have the talent. And they've been one of the better teams in baseball since June 1st. They just had
Gunner's kicking ass right now. He started slowly, but Gunner's a freako.
100%. Westberg back. Holiday just continues to get more comfortable.
Eflin and Povich started a rehab game on Sunday before the All-Star break. You've got Adley, who apparently is going to catch Bradish at the complex at some point soon. Like, it's all interesting, man.
So what you said is absolutely the answer. That's what I wrote down first. Like 100%. I think Orioles fans are all aligned on that. The next 2 weeks up until the deadline are as important for the Orioles as any team in Major League Baseball. Because to your point, you're almost optimistic. And I think as you should be. And I think as Orioles fans should be. But there is always the chance that they just continue to slide. And then is it a major teardown? But what I will do for mine, just to add another one, is the Trevor Rogers hype real? Because when the Orioles made this trade, sending Connor Norby and Kyle Stowers to the Marlins, it was seen as a damn, kind of overpaid for that a little bit. And it was shown immediately, right? Connor Norby steps up for the fish. Kyle Stowers not so much, and Trevor Rogers is in the minors or hurt.
Yeah.
And then this year, Trevor Rogers is hurt for most of the year, and Kyle Stowers is a freaking all-star. And funny enough, Connor Norby takes a little bit of a step back.
Yeah.
But that's just how baseball goes. Ebbs and flows, which I still don't know which one to assign to both Stowers and Norby. But in the last 35 innings, since Trevor Rogers debuted, he's got a 1.57 ERA. And I also thought what was hilarious when Mizorowski made the All-Star team, some people started posting those side-by-side baseball reference comparisons with Trevor Rogers and Mizorowski. And they're saying, hey, if we're doing this, can we do this? And I was like, you know what? Like, that's not.
No,
I mean,
can't do that.
obviously, it's insane that Mizorowski is in. Again, that I love Mizorowski. We've talked about this before. We don't have to just continue to dive into that saga, but I thought it was hilarious what Orioles fans were doing, and they're not crazy for doing it based on Mizorowski making it. Because Trevor Rogers has truly been that good, and we can't forget the reason it was a big package for him was because this guy was a legit pitcher that just took a nosedive because of injuries. But if you have that near rookie of the year Trevor Rogers, who even looks better than he did then, you got a real pitcher in the rotation, which the Orioles need desperately.
For sure. For sure. And they need durability. Unfortunately, Rogers has not proven to be that. But if we scrub the slate clean and we start here, if he's around for the next 2 years, you feel pretty darn good about it. Also, it was entirely out of sarcasm, I guarantee you, from the Oriole fan base saying, like, well, the Trevor Rogers should be an
Of
all-star
course it was
then.
sarcasm, but there was also a little bit of truth in there, just a droplet.
There was like a droplet of truth.
Yeah.
That's how I opened the Marlins broadcast on Saturday. We were talking during the pregame show with Steven, and I said, Rogers has been throwing like an all-star, man. I mean, Mizorowski just got in. Trevor Rogers has been throwing like an all-star. But we're going to get to the American League Central in a moment. But before that, I want to tell you about our friends at Ethos Life Insurance. There's always going to be that moment that, it makes you almost think about the future in a flash, right? Would your family be prepared financially if anything were to happen to you, right? The last thing you want your family to worry about is how they're going to pay the bills. With life insurance from Ethos, your family is protected. Life insurance is more affordable than you think. With Ethos, you can get a free quote and customize a rate that fits your budget. You can get up to $3 million in coverage. Some policies as low as $2 a day, billed monthly. As of March 2025, Business Insider named Ethos the #1 no medical exam instant life insurance provider. 3 million families have completed their applications and trusted Ethos to help find the right coverage. And Ethos has a 4.8 out of 5-star rating on Trustpilot with over 2,400 reviews. Protect your family with life insurance from Ethos. Get your free quote at ethos.com/justbaseball. That's Ethos, ethos.com/justbaseball. Time for the American League Central. Let's start with the best team in the American League right now, the Detroit Tigers. I saw Zach McKinstry at the All-Star game. That's how good the season is going for the Detroit Tigers right now.
Absolutely. You want me to go first?
Yes.
Because it surrounds Zach McKinstry, but it also surrounds Wenceel Perez and Javier Baez. Can role players like those three I just named continued what they showed in the first half? I mean, McKinstry is an all-star because he's a 3-win player and he's putting up a WRC plus above 130. Wenceel Perez, 128 WRC plus. Javier Baez has been the ultimate Swiss Army knife. But does that continue? Right, going back to the Blue Jays, the Tigers have a better structure in place that if those three were to take a little bit of a dive, I think they would be better set up than the Blue Jays would if the bullpen doesn't come to play, like you said, or if George Springer and Addison Barger take a little bit of a step back, because I really just feel good about Torque. I feel great about Riley Green. I feel great about Cole Keith. Right. And there are more names that I haven't even mentioned that I feel good about with the Tigers. We could go through the rotation and their bullpen as well. But I feel like what has propelled, again, the Tigers to the best team in the American League are role players like Perez, like McKinstry, like Baez. So, what do their second halves look like? I'm actually more confident that Springer and Barger keep it up than those three, right? Diving deep into their profiles. But I'm not putting it out of the realm of possibility that they can continue this. But
Yeah.
what does that look like? I think that's what my eyes are squared on with Detroit right now.
Cool. So that is what I'm squared on with Detroit as well, right? Can the Robins continue to play like Batmans?
Yep.
Because like Javier Baez, whether he deserved that center field job or not for the American League All-Stars in the starting lineup on Wednesday, he got it because the fan vote loved him, and Javi Baez has done enough to prove that he is a borderline, at least, All-Star caliber player. I actually clumped Gleyber Torres in with the Robins as well
Mm-hmm.
because I view Kerry Carpenter and Riley Green as the Batmans in that lineup. So can
Where's
Gleyber
Torque?
can Torque is a Robin?
Torque's a Robin. Okay.
Yeah. So I view Torque, Gleyber as kind of the two main Robins, and then I view Baez, McKinstry as the other
Yeah.
Robins.
And I think I'm looking
Um,
at the other Robins because I feel good about Glaber. I feel good about Torque. I know Kerry Carpenter hasn't had the greatest year and he's hurt right now, but he should come back and he should be totally fine. Like, we still have a ton of faith in that bat, and we know that he can get red hot. And when he's
yeah,
red hot, he's one of the best hitters overall in baseball, point blank, period. Right? We saw in the postseason, we've seen it in his numbers before. So he's got that in the tank. So the best could be
yeah,
yet to come for Kerry Carpenter, which could then help if a McKinstry, a Wenceel Perez, or a Javier Baez takes a little bit of a dive. But if all three of them do, the Tigers get a little less scary. And if they continue, the Tigers are the prohibitive favorite to win this whole thing,
for
or at
sure.
least in the American League. Again,
Yes.
the National League is just so damn good.
My other thing here, I believe if this holds, Pedro Martinez is the only American League Cy Young Award winner to win it unanimously in back-to-back years.
Mm.
Tarek Skubal and Crochet and Brown are really pushing for it, but can Tarek Skubal be a unanimous back-to-back Cy Young Award winner? Get all 60 votes over the span of 2 years for the first time and only time since Pedro Martinez in 99 and 2000.
It's going to be hard for him to be unanimous just because if Crochet leads the league in strikeouts and potentially leads the league in innings, I still think Tarek Skubal can win it.
But he's going to get some votes.
He's going to get some votes. So Tarek Skubal will have to even take it to another level to
Yeah.
get to unanimous. I think if he just continues what he's doing right now, he's got a good shot at winning this Cy Young.
Yeah.
But to be unanimous, he truly has to put up those stretches where it's like 93 strikeouts, one walk. When we tweet him out, it's like the first time anyone has ever touched a baseball has ever done something even close to this.
Right.
And then it's just Tarek Skubal at the top of a list.
But
So we
that's what
need
he
to put
does,
together
man.
those stretches to be unanimous.
Yeah. Detroit is 11 and a half games clear of Minnesota, who sits in second place right now, a half game better than Kansas City. For me, Minnesota, how drastic is the sell off?
Mm.
I'm really confused by what could happen at this deadline. All of a sudden, I hear the name Joe Ryan floating around. Like, what? I see the Duran and Jack stuff. Like,
Yeah.
what? What?
Duran and Jax, I get. Joe Ryan is, I know he doesn't have that much left on his
That would
contract.
make no sense to me to move a guy like Joe Ryan.
You would have to just get the moon and the stars for him to even
Yeah.
consider picking up the phone because he has been one of the best pitchers in the American League so far. And that's a guy you want to keep just to remain somewhat competitive. Like, you can't just trade everybody. But I think they could trade Buxton. And all I can think about is Dave Dombrowski pushing the chips in and seeing that the window is right now and
Yeah.
going to get a Buxton and kind of overpaying for Buxton.
It'd be
And at the
cool.
same time, not caring that he's overpaying for Buxton.
I understand
That would
if they
be.
move a guy like Byron Buxton, to be honest. And Byron Buxton contractually, there's a lot of years left on this thing, man. You
Yeah,
owe
there
him
is.
15 million next year. You owe him 15 in 27. You owe him 15 in 28. That takes him through his age 34 season. And Philly clearly has no problem in doing that.
But
I
here's the
could
thing.
absolutely see a world where they move for Byron Buxton.
If Byron Buxton was a free agent, you said he has 3 years left after this year.
Yeah,
Would you sign him to a $3 or $45 million contract
of course.
every day of the week? So it's not like that's a bad contract by any stretch of the imagination. Tons of years of control of Byron Buxton. It's not like he's 35, he's
Right.
31. Like, I'm taking those years. I'm betting on that upside. It is immense. But that gets me into my second, talking about upside and downside. What is Royce Lewis? And I know that sounds weird, but here's my thing. Injured, but elite first 2 years. I mean, 12 games in his rookie year, 50 in his second year, but he was awesome in those games. Then he was healthier, played half a season, but the production really wasn't there. He wasn't great defensively. 107 WRC plus. There was a lack of aura, to put it plainly. And then this season, he's been a hole. He's been injured. His WRC plus is basically cut in half from those 12 games in his rookie year. So I think if Royce Lewis just struggles mightily in the second half and or gets hurt again, what do we start to say about him? Because in maybe even before this season, we were talking about him as one of the best third basemen in the league as long as he can stay healthy. But now we might be saying, not only can he stay healthy, is he even a good third baseman? What is Royce Lewis? That is my question that I'm watching.
I'm fascinated by it. He looks really uncomfortable defensively. Like the
Really
throwing motion just
uncomfortable.
it looks awkward. Offensively, there's not much of a threat here. To be honest, I look at Royce Lewis and Brooks Lee as like, how much sex appeal do you really have?
Yeah, Brooksley is interesting because again, he is still very young, but
But he's
85
also like
WRC plus.
fine.
Yeah,
He's a 715 OPS. I think it's just right there with league average. It's
yeah.
fine. He can play some spots defensively.
I think he'll eventually get better, but I think the question is how much better. Like,
Yeah.
is you're saying 715 is his peak 750? I don't
And
know.
that's my question. I'm
Yeah,
like, how does this look sexy, to be honest? Like, how is this an immensely valuable player?
yeah. I don't know.
So, I don't know. Let's go to Kansas City here. A two-parter from me, and I know that a big one is yours. How quickly can this get better for Cags is number
Yeah.
one for me. And number two, what does the taper off for Chris Bubich look like? Because Bubich is very quickly approaching his career high in innings.
Hmm.
And he's coming off of back-to-back years where he couldn't work too far because of injury. So I wonder what the taper off for an all-star left-hander is going to look like. But the big thing for me is Cags. Like, okay, it's not going to be a 22 WRC plus, but how does it get better? It's not like he's punching out all the time right now. It's like a 21% K rate through his first couple of weeks of big league ball.
No, he's got a weird, really weird profile right now. He's hitting the ball pretty hard, but he's kind of getting unlucky based on the numbers. But you watch Cags and it's not like, oh, like I see that unluckiness unfold all the time,
Right.
right? He's keeping the ball on the ground. He's got a lot of long flyouts. So, yeah, I think he's just getting settled in. And I think definitely a storyline for the Royals is what does this second half look like? Does he start to really kick it in gear and display tons of power that I know Royals fans are fiending for and for good reason? Not only do they need the power, but Cags was promised as one of the most powerful prospects we've seen in a long time, a guy who can rival to win home run crowns and potentially is in the home run derby next year, like that type of player. So what does this second half look like? That's definitely what I wrote down. What I also wrote down, because you said the taper off of Chris Bubich, and I
Yeah.
agree. I still think he's going to shove, but for how much longer? And then what do the Royals really think about this starting staff? Because we had this debate earlier. But again, what I am watching is, do the Royals trade Seth Lugo? Because his name is now starting to really get floated. Because I think other writers saw what I saw, that the contract, he's got a year and a half left, that the Royals should get Reagan's back next year. But I agree, the injury to the shoulder is not something that, I'm immediately slotting him in. So it might be naive, but I am putting him in the rotation next year. You got Bubich, you got Waka, and then there's a lot of free agents available next year. You sign some of them right to use. So can they trade Seth Lugo? Do they trade Seth Lugo? If they do, what is the package for him? Because he's been awesome again this year. Or do they not trade him at all? Like, I'm not saying it's 100% certainty that they are, but
Yep.
what I'm watching is, do they? And do they come out and say why? All of that is interesting to me.
I would bet they do, just because it's an opportunity to capitalize on a guy that's well north of 30 years old.
You've changed your opinion on that.
When did I have that previous opinion?
When we last debated, both you and Aram were saying that it was probably not a good idea because what will the Royals' rotation look like next year without him?
So I think based on the mid-level targets here. I also viewed it as like they have a shot for another postseason push this year.
Yeah,
I'm almost factoring that out right now.
yeah,
Um, I look at the mid-level pitching talent here that could come in at a Lugo adjacent price. It feels okay to
yeah,
me. Like, why can't you can convince Merrill Kelly to come play for the Kansas City Royals, and I'm okay with Merrill Kelly being my Seth Lugo replacement.
yeah. And you can probably get a sizable return for Lugo. I
Yeah,
mean,
right. So
that's
like, might as well capitalize a little bit right now. So yeah,
yeah,
if I guess I've pivoted there. I've pivoted because of the Royals team situation this year, and I've also
yeah,
pivoted because there's a chance that you get a decent haul there. They could use some help in that system. It's not like it's an overwhelmingly great system, and you can go hunting for somebody adjacent on the free agent market this year.
100%.
Dumb. All right, last team or second to last team in the AL Central is Cleveland. Where do you go on Cleveland?
Multiple things with Cleveland. And the reason I wrote multiple is we've talked about this at length, so I just want to mention it again. Do the Guardians actually trade Class A?
Yeah.
Because I remember when I dropped that original reel, like when I brought that to the forefront of a conversation on the Just Baseball show when we posted it, a lot of negative feedback. Not going to do it. No way. Then the reports started coming out that he was available, and we went over it again. And we posted that reel somewhat recently. And it seemed like Guardians fans started to turn,
Yeah.
saying, it would stink. I don't want to, but I get it. And that was kind of the vibe from Cleveland fans, at least just on social media, where they're hesitant just because they love him. And for good reason, right? He could, when it's all said and done, he could be one of the greatest closers to ever live.
Right.
But they see the writing on the wall with this team. And if you could cash in again for a reliever, I think they see why. And I think they would be interested if the package is right. So that is what I'm watching. But really, what I think is not more important, but not talked about much, and what I'm watching with Cleveland, Bo Naylor and Brian Rocchio. Both of them have had borderline horrific seasons. And I think you could truly say horrific for Brian Rocchio. So are they going to heat up in the second half to secure starting roles next year? And that might sound crazy. What do you mean starting roles? But at the same time, can the Guardians truly just continue to put out a guy with a 50 WRC plus? How many more reps does Bo Naylor need to tell you that he can't really hit? And it's not like he's this great defensive catcher that you're waiting to hit. He's not a great defensive catcher either. So it's really relying on the bat. And when the bat's not showing up, and it's not like these guys are old, like they're 28 now, they're still 25. But at some point, because you called them up so early and because they've gotten so many reps, you have to start to figure out, are these guys starting players for us?
Yeah.
So if they heat up in the second half and it was just a bad first half and you're seeing progression, you're seeing them improve, okay, we could go into next year, build off that, and these guys can still give it a go in 2026. But if they struggle, and let's say they even get worse, which is not out of the realm of possibility,
No, it's not.
Cleveland fans, let us know in the YouTube comments below. If they are the same as they were in the front half, do you want both of them starting for your Cleveland Guardians next year? That's what I'm
Right.
watching.
So similar for me. The way that I put it was, whose last chance is this? And
Yeah.
I want to figure out whose last chance it really is. And that could be Rocchio. That could be Naylor. That could be Nolan Jones at 27 years old, which is crazy to say. Um, Angel Martinez, that's the guy that really hasn't found footing whatsoever. David Fry, is the value entirely gone at this point? I understand that he's coming back from a major injury, so you want to give him a moment to, actually get on the field instead of like the entirety of his value being the bat. But there are plenty of guys in here that I'm looking around and I'm like, is this your last chance to be seen as part of the present and future for the Cleveland Guardians? And I feel like Rocchio and Naylor are probably the two poster boys of that right now. And to your point, they're really darn young.
Yeah.
But at some point, Cleveland's got to be good.
I'm
And
really. Oh,
yeah,
yeah. Sorry. Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut
no,
you
no,
off.
no. I like at some point they've got to be good.
Yeah.
And I just don't know if Bo Naylor as their catcher is the way to do that.
And I'm really glad you expanded on that point because, I brought up Naylor and Rocchio, but you're right. They have a lot of questions to answer. So, one big question for the Guardians in the second half, or one thing to watch, they have maybe as much as any team that we're going to do in part one this episode and part two the next.
Yeah. White Sox. The Chicago White Sox, for me, when are we on Schultz and Hagen watch? They're going to
Yeah.
move some pieces. Luis Robert is the one that, is the biggest question, but is Robert. Obviously, it's justifiable, but can they get a package that they were seeking at the beginning of this year? I feel like the answer at this point is no.
No
Where are
shot.
you?
Yeah, I mean, I wrote down who establishes themselves as part of the core for next year.
Sure.
And there's a lot of names that we could go over but I feel like it's almost a waste of time to go over each one because everyone is in the running.
Right.
Like this is a White Sox team looking for players to continue to build around. And of course, you can start with all of the guys that they traded for Crochet, bringing in Caro for Giolito. There's plenty of those guys, but does somebody else, right, make a mark? Chase Mydroth, I'm looking at you. Are you really the starting second baseman or starting shortstop for
I
this
think the
team?
answer is yes at this
I think
point.
so too, but we gotta wait and see. So that's one of my questions. And then my next one, again, you already touched on it. Do the White Sox trade Luis Robert, and what do they get for him? Because I
Yeah.
don't think it's set in stone that the White Sox do. Right? He's still got more years of control. You don't have to do it now.
Right.
And if you did do it now, you'd be selling it bottom of the barrel. So I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that he's even moved because the White Sox have to get some value for him. I mean, if you're a White Sox fan, do you want to trade Luis Robert for a top 175 prospect? Because, like, why would you offer more?
Right.
He's a hole. So, again, do you wait longer and take the risk that this is just what he is?
Yeah.
Do you wait longer and next year he's not 38 bombs, 20 steals, but can he be 25 bombs, 15 steals and like play good defense? Then he's valuable again and then you could get a good package for him. So, my one thing that I'm watching for the White Sox is not only do they trade him, but if they do, what would they get and is that worth it?
Yeah. And they probably just want to get out from under this. I would assume that they do, and they would take a deal that looks a heck of a lot lighter than what they would have done this offseason,
Yeah.
which really, really stinks. We're going to get to the American League West to wrap in a moment. Before that, we'll take one more quick break. Tying a bow on this puppy with the American League West. And let's start with second best team in the American League, third best, fourth best. I don't know
I
where
think
Houston
I think
slots in.
I'd say second,
You'd say second best?
behind the Tigers.
Houston, man. Where do you go with Houston?
Houston's fascinating because I have. It was really hard to narrow it down to one, but I'm going to try my best. And I think what I'm most interested in is how are these injured players going to help the team when they
Yeah.
return? Is Jordan back? Because this offense, then with Jordan in, we're talking about the Rays and Shane McClanahan potentially getting the best piece at the deadline. He's got company with Jordan freaking Alvarez. But then also, I mean, Javier and Luis Garcia, when they're on the mound, they're really solid pitchers.
Yeah.
I mean, Javier at his peak can throw no hitters in the World Series.
Right.
Maybe not 9 inning ones, but he could be a part of a team no hitter, right? So he could be that good. And the Astros, they already got Brown and Valdez at the top. They're good. But 3, 4, and 5 are up in the air, right? They've gotten some good fill ins, Gordon, Walter. I get it. But I think they'd prefer Luis Garcia and Javier. But then I say that and say, would they actually prefer? Because what do those injured players look like? If
Yeah.
they are all 80% of what they were, the Astros can screw around and compete to win a World Series.
Yeah.
If they come back, they don't look healthy, maybe get injured again, it doesn't look great. The Astros are still a good team, but their ceiling is just capped a little bit because those three can really take them to the next level.
I like that. I went more vague, but encapsulating the same thing. I said, who's going to help them run through the tape? Is that internally on the IL or is that externally on the trade market? I would assume more of it is internal, but I'm just fascinated to see who the supporting cast is going to be for the guys that have been awesome all year. On the mound, who's going to be the supporting cast behind Fromber and Hunter Brown, and then in the bullpen behind Abreu and Hader? And then I'm looking at the lineup. Who's going to be the supporting cast behind who I think could very well be the American League Rookie of the Year in Cam Smith when it's all said and done?
And to your point about internally, you mentioned guys on the IL like I did and potentially trade deadline acquisitions. What about just internal healthy guys?
Yeah.
Because Christian Walker is starting to heat up.
Right.
Yander Diaz is starting to heat up. And we know how good those bats can be when they're right. So is this just a little bit of a surge and then they fall back to what they've been doing for the majority of the season? Or do they continue the surge and be the bats that we know they can be? So the Astros are just beaming with potential while already having the second best record in the American League.
Yeah. Okay, let's go to Seattle here. Seattle, I personally had who's the external name that's going to help Cal Raleigh?
Hmm.
I understand that Arozarena has been playing really well, and Julio Rodriguez was an all-star, and he decided to sit out of that. But J-Rod's J-Rod, Arozarena's Arozarena. They still need more help offensively. I'm just looking at them on the trade market. I want to know where they go. Do they shoot for a reunion with Eugenio Suarez, or do they go respectfully dumpster diving for, like people that are cheaper, under team control for a little bit, maybe cost less of a prospect return? I just don't know how they're going to do it.
Me neither. And that is the number one thing that I wrote down. But the number two thing I wrote down, similarly to my one big thing I'm watching for the New York Yankees, does Cal Raleigh finish with the greatest catching season of all time? And can he break Judge's American League home run record? Aram did such a good job detailing the swing change that Cal Raleigh made to unlock this unbelievable season that he's posted, both from the left side of the plate and the right side. The power, the just more consistent contact. So make sure to go check out that short. You can either read it on justbaseball.com or you can go check out our new YouTube channel, Just
Nice.
Baseball Shorts, where we're posting like anywhere from 5 to 15 minute, basically just YouTube videos on stuff we find interesting. And Arm has already done a great job loading up that page. So make sure to go subscribe and go watch that breakdown of his swing change.
Yeah.
But I mean, watching him in the Derby, it's a swing perfectly tailored to hit taters.
Right.
38 at the break is out of this world.
Insane.
Aaron Judge is 35 at the break. That should be what we're talking about, but we're not because Cal Raleigh has 30 freaking 8
As a catcher.
as a catcher while playing good defense. It's not truly elite that he's shown in other years. It's still pretty damn good. So that's what I'm looking for. Is Cal Raleigh going to put together the greatest catching season of all time? And it's so funny. The answer to that already is like 80% yes. Like we're like pretty much almost there. How
Yeah.
far can he drive this up? Like how far can he lead all catcher leading leaderboards ever?
Yeah.
Is it going to be like LeBron where he just keeps stacking points on the all-time leaderboards? Or is
Maybe.
it or is it just going to be he just gets there? We'll see.
Yeah. Okay. Where else we go? I have it now. Texas. You ready for mine?
Yep.
Which champ is next to fall?
Hmm.
And if you don't understand that, Leody Taveras was DFA'd. Taveras was bouncing around. Josh Young just got optioned to AAA.
Crazy. I mean, I get it.
Yeah.
I've seen him too. Just the thought of that is crazy.
Right. For me, it's like, does Jonah Heim get DFA'd? Does Adolis Garcia get traded? Like, I'm just wondering which one of those guys that was such a huge piece of a World Series championship 2 years ago is off the roster.
I didn't even think of that. That's good.
Yeah.
Damn. Damn. And I think just building off of that, let's go the opposite direction. What if they surge and are in a buying opportunity? Because the Rangers at the end of the day were playing better as we entered the break. And they are still in it. I mean, of course, they're 8.5 back of the division, but if we're talking about the wild card standings, they're not too far off. They are 48 and 49.
Yeah.
If they put together, right, how many days until the deadline? Decent bit, right? So if they're 5 games over 500 by the deadline, they're buying. So you're talking about, will they potentially trade Adolis Garcia or a couple of other names? What if they surge and buy and then they're going again to compete, which they can?
Right.
So very similar to a couple other teams that we've talked about, but maybe the most pressing for this team is these weeks until the deadline are so important for Chris Young, the general manager of the Rangers, to make a decision here on what to do with this damn team. Because you see it, they got the potential. They just aren't able to put it together consistently through stretches. So I think what Chris Young is probably looking at is, can you put it together consistently with the time being? And then I will buy. But if you can't, my hands are tied. It doesn't make sense to.
Right.
So these next few weeks are incredibly important for the Rangers.
Yeah. Two more teams we got. The LA Angels. You first.
So I have one that might ruffle some feathers. And it's not like I fully believe in it, but this episode is titled One Thing to Watch.
Yeah.
And here's what I'm watching. Is Logan O'Hoppe the catcher of the future? Because I know that sounds crazy, but you look at his numbers over the past couple of seasons. Right, in 2023, he plays 51 games. Hits for a lot of power, not much else. Right? And the defense is not very good. In 2024, flashes that power with 20 home runs in 136 games, but strikes out 30% of the time. And the defense improves, but he's still a 2-win player. And then this year, the power is still there. The strikeout rate is elevated now to 33%.
Yeah.
He's slashing 229, 267, 425, and the defense has now fallen again. So if all we're looking at is just a guy who can hit homers, and he's not great defensively, and when he's not hitting homers, he's just striking out, is that the catcher of the future? And again, here's what I'm watching for. If he bounces back in the second half, yeah, let's keep it rolling. What if it gets worse? That's not out of the realm of possibility. Then what are we saying? So again, I'm not even making any takes. I don't think one way or the other. But I am watching, which is the point of this episode.
It is the point of the episode. I think Logan O'Hoppe has bought himself the remainder of his control.
Yeah.
because of what he can do with the bat and because he can hit homers.
Yeah.
This is a guy that is not good defensively, but he's not a total black hole. Or would
Yeah.
you make the argument that he is a total black hole?
I don't think he's a total black hole, but he's not good defensively. And I think that's the
Right.
point. Like
He's
at catcher, it's so important
for
that if
sure.
you're not good defensively, you
You better
have to
hit.
hit.
You better hit. And
Better hit.
my thing is he's hit enough over his first handful of years to the point where it justifies getting him through arbitration as an LA Angel.
I agree. It's enough. It's enough. But then what happens in the second half?
Sure.
Because, for example, Jack, if he's got an 89 WRC plus now. What if he's worse and he finishes the year with an 85 WRC plus? And he's got like a .4 F war.
Right.
And he's striking out 33% of the time. Is that a guy you're just automatically like, oh yeah, we're excited about Logan O'Hoppe? I wouldn't be.
No, but I also think that you're fine getting him to ARB1 next year.
Yeah. I want him to completely destroy the narrative that I just made.
Yeah.
And I want him to just go on an absolute tirade and be like, yeah, the defense isn't great, but man, can he rake? Because he's shown it. He has shown it in flashes. So I want to see that in the second half. I am totally rooting for him, and I hope it happens. But I think it is important to watch.
And I think it's entirely doable. My quick thing on the Angels, how much fun is Trout's 400th homer going to be? He's 5 away. He's at 395. I'm just watching. Cool. Like, honestly, I'm just watching the LA Angels for Mike Trout's 400th homer.
Another quick reason to watch the Angels, I mean, Joe Adell has really...
For sure.
Has really improved. He's got an OPS over 800. The power is there. The defense has improved. Got to remember, this guy's just 26 years old. You really enter your prime in these years. So, again, while Logan O'Hoppe might be diminishing, Joe Adell's stock is way up. So that's another player that I'm certainly watching on the Angels.
Yeah. Last but not least, the A's in Sacramento. For me, when are we going to come to terms with the fact that this lineup might just be awesome? Like, that's what I'm watching. I'm watching to see if Jacob Wilson can win a batting title. I'm watching to see if Nick Kurtz can hit 25 homers, maybe 20 homers. Actually 25.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's...
Yeah, we got to keep upping that.
Yeah, we're going to keep upping that right now. But I'm watching Lawrence Butler right now. There are so many enticing pieces for me that I'm totally cool just sitting back, acknowledging that the staff might be bad and just loving watching Nick Kurtz. I think 25 is what I'm shooting for here. Can he flirt with 30 in that ballpark, Nick Kurtz?
Just to add another interesting stat to what you were saying, if Jacob Wilson wins the batting title, he would be the 6th rookie ever to do it, and the first since Ichiro Suzuki back in 2001 when he took Major League Baseball by storm. One thing that I'm watching that is kind of small, but at the same time it could end up being large. Can Denzel Clark hit it all? Because if he can, you have a damn good center fielder. Just because the defense out there is so unbelievably elite. I still stand on it. I love PCA in center. We have a lot of great defensive players in center field.
Yeah.
Buxton runs like a gazelle. Ain't nobody fielding like Denzel Clark. I am in awe watching him play center field.
Yeah.
The reason he is in the lineup with a 56 WRC plus is because the defense is so outrageous. Can he be an 80 WRC plus guy?
Yeah.
Because then he's a 3-win player. That's how good the defense is. So, again, it's small. I don't necessarily think it's going to happen, but man, I hope so. Can Denzel Clark hit at all? I'm not asking for much, just at all.
Yeah. That's what we got, man. That's our show.
Hopefully everybody enjoyed this edition of the Just Baseball Show. Part 2, look out for it on Friday. It'll be Arm and I doing the same exact exercise for the National League. And if you enjoyed this episode, the best way to support without spending a singular dime, rate and review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, 5 stars. And if you would leave a written review, that would be very, very kind. Again, it is the best way to support this show, continue to grow this show, and it's all thanks to you guys and your support, as well as that support on YouTube, hitting the like button, commenting, and subscribing. And of course, if you want to talk even deeper with us as we approach the trade deadline, all the draft fallouts, all of it, and of course my bets, sign up for the Discord. You can find the link in the episode description. It's just $10 a month. Less than a price of a sandwich these days. Want to make it as affordable as possible so everybody can just come in and talk baseball all day long. For Jack McMullen, I'm Peter Apple. We will see you tomorrow. And with that, thank you, everybody.